Hello everyone and welcome to another video in BAFCO. My name is Osborne and today we're looking at if function, nested if and ifs function. Alright, so if, nested if and ifs function. Now we start with the if function. When we talk of an if function, okay, the if function is a logical function in Excel that allows us to perform different actions based on a given condition. All right, then we should always know that the if function deals with only two conditions, whether the condition is true or false. All right, so only two conditions. And we also have to take note that it's very simple and very easy to read, right, considering the if function. All right, so in today's lesson we'll be looking at student data. All right, so we have data from students, so we capture the student's name, they are in various index numbers, and the score they had in three core subjects, which is the microeconomics, macroeconomics, and econometrics. All right, now in this first lesson, that's with the if function, we'll be grouping or we're using the if functions to find out students who passed and students who failed, and these pass marks or these pass and fail remarks are based on this criteria, as you can see over here, this criteria. All right, so if for a student to pass, the person should have 50 to 100% score. All right, so score. Now for a person to fail, the person should have less than 50%. Right, so after getting less than 50% in any of these scores, then you are assumed to have failed. All right, so we'll go ahead and see how I'll see the syntax for the if function. All right, so I'll change the grade here to remarks. All right, for the microeconomics. Now we'll go straight now to write a function. You know, next so we start with an equal to sign, so equal to if. So let me increase it so that we can see it very well. So equal to if into brackets. Now, so this is how the syntax looks like. So the logical text will come, right? So that's the conditions that we want to evaluate. Then the value if true, that's the result. If the condition is true, then the value false, the result. If the condition is false. All right, so in this instance, if so we are looking at microeconomics, so if microeconomics score, which is C3, all right, is greater than 50%, so it's greater than 50, comma, we are saying that the student has what? Passed. So we are saying that the student has passed. So I select pass over here, which is in J17, right? Then I can go ahead and log that, so using absolute referencing. So to log it, you just insert a $sign in front of the column number and the row number, or better still, you can just hit on F4 to lock it straight ahead. Then the value if false, so if it's not true, the value false should be what? Fail. All right, so I just hit on fail, and I also go ahead and lock that one, and I can close my bracket and hit enter. All right, now immediately I hit enter, you can see that it gives me pass. So you can see that pass because 60% or 60 is higher than 50%, right, or it's within the pass range. All right, so I highlight that, so I bring my cursor down here. All right, I can bring my cursor down here, then I can double click, and then you can see that the remarks column is filled. Right, so to do same for the macroeconomic score, we can go ahead and type our if function. However, looking from our previous lessons that we learned the paste specials, right? So once I have the formula here, I can just copy, then I paste only the formulas over here, so formulas, and I hit on it. So you can see that if you have 30%, you failed, right? 30% you failed. So that one I can bring it my cursor down here, and it turns to the plus, I double click, and also fill it accordingly, and I can also do same for the macroeconomics. Okay, so that's how we do with the if function. Now we go ahead and look at the nested if function, which is a little complex compared to the if function. A little complex in the sense that while the if functions looks at two conditions, right, the nested if function can look at multiple conditions at the same time, right? And so the nested if function, okay, it a formula that combines multiple functions or multiple if functions, allowing for the evaluation of multiple conditions, right? So in this instance, you can see that there are only two conditions, either pass or fail, multiple conditions, and that's where we are going to use this grading system over here, right? The grading system over here gives us multiple conditions, so a student can either get a B plus, a B, a C plus, based on this grading system that we have over here. All right, now in this one we have a certain syntax that we follow, so as you go ahead you also see or have a feel of how the syntax looks like. So let me change this back to grade. All right, so here we are using the nested if function, and this is how it works. So equal to if, then into brackets. Now my logical test, so I'm starting with the microeconomics course. So if C3 is greater than or equal to 80, what that means is that I'm looking at values from 80 upwards, so 80 to 100, right? And if the score falls into that value, I want to give it an A. All right, then since I'll be dragging through, I just make sure I lock this cell using absolute referencing, right? So F4, I lock it, comma. All right, then if, so that's how the nested if function works. So if, then my next condition comes. All right, so my next condition is if C3 is greater than or equal to 75, then I'm assigning a B plus. Okay, then if my C3 is greater than or equal to 70, I'm assigning a B. Then if my logical, which is C3, is greater than or equal to 65, comma, giving it a, you are getting a C plus. Okay, I think I didn't log this one. All right, then my next one, if C3 is greater than or equal to 60, comma, then I'm giving it a C. Then if C3 is greater than or equal to 55, you are getting a D plus. All right, then if, so you can see that using the nested if functions is very cumbersome. We have a lot of conditions to deal with. All right, but as we go forward, we look at another approach, which is the ifs function, which makes it a little simpler. All right, so let's say a little easy to absorb or understand. So if C3 is greater than or equal to my D, so it's greater than or equal to 50. All right, and I'm getting a D over here. Else, so here, if all these conditions are satisfied, or if all these conditions are not met, then my value if false. All right, so my value if false becomes E. All right, so if all the subsequent conditions are not met, then the value if false becomes the E. All right, and I also lock that one, and I can go ahead and close it. Then remember that we've opened a lot of brackets, so we make sure we close all these brackets. All right, so I think that's what. Then I hit enter. Immediately I hit enter, you can see that I have my grade over here. Right, then to get it for the other ones, I'll just have to bring my cursor down and double tap. Alright, then I get the grades for the other score. Now I can also do same for macroeconomics, but it won't be wise for me to also come here and enter the same formulas over here. However, looking back at the P specials lesson that we did, I can just copy the formula and paste the formula over here. Alright, I can see that the formula comes here. Now to get it, I can also bring it down here and double click, and I also get that over here, and I can also copy it from this side and paste the formula, and I can also do same. So if you go through, you can see that ideally the grades have been assigned based on the grading system that we have. So for example, 70 is B, so 70 falls within this category, which is B. all right, and so forth and so on. So that's how we also use the nested if function. All right, so now we also go ahead and look at how we can also use the ifs function. So I'll go ahead and delete the grades that we've done. All right, so now we are going to use the ifs function, so IFS function. Now the ifs function is an easier alternative to using the multiple nested ifs function. All right, now it simplifies the complex condition statement by allowing multiple conditions without excessive nesting. All right, so nesting is like putting one formula into another and so forth and so on. Right, now with this one, okay, it's at least easier to read compared to the nested function, and it is simpler than the nested function. All right, and if you can only use the ifs function, have access to ifs function if you are using Excel 2016 or later. All right, so let's go ahead and see the illustration. All right, so in using the ifs function, also you hit our equal to, then we type ifs. So let me increase it. All right, so equal to so equal to ifs into brackets. All right, so ifs into brackets, so my logical, that's my condition one will come. So condition one, C3 is greater than or equal to 80, comma, then my value, if true, that's my results, one is A. All right, so I'll log that one. Now unlike the nested if function where we had to type the if then into brackets again, in the ifs function there is no need for that, so we can just go ahead and enter our next condition. All right, so my next condition is that C3 is greater than or equal to 75. All right, then my value if true is B plus. Okay, I log that one also, then comma, then my next condition comes C3 greater than or equal to 70, then the student gets a B. All right, then the next one greater than or equal to 65, you are getting a C plus. Then if your score is greater than or equal to 60, you are getting a C. Lock it, then continue with the other ones accordingly. So if C3 is greater than or equal to 55, comma, I'm getting a D plus. Then if, sorry, no need for the if since we are using the ifs. So C3 is greater than or equal to 50, comma, then we are getting a D. All right, now after we have exhausted the condition and left to the last but one condition, there is no need to bring that condition. All you have to do is that you just type true, comma, then you bring the default results, right? The default result, which will be the E. Okay, then I log that one also. Now the true, because the true is used as a default or the final condition to handle cases where none of the previous conditions are met. So the true is like a default result. So if none of these conditions are met, then the result returns this, which is the last result that we entered over, which is the E. All right, now one thing you also have to know is that the ifs, all right, the ifs function, it does not have a built-in else or, let's say, or default like the if function has. All right, so if a condition fails and there is no true at the end, the Excel or the formula will return as an error. All right, so in this instance, let's first go ahead and hit enter and see what happens. All right, so I'm getting an error. So I'll go ahead and look at what's wrong with our formula. Alright, so you can see it over here. So the cell name, I did CE, rather should be C3. Okay, let me go through and see. Alright, so that's it. So as you can see, we get our C for 60%. Now to get for the other one, I'll double click, and I also have the scores for the other ones or the other students. Now to get for macroeconomics and econometrics, I can just copy and be pasting the grades. I can paste, and I can also do same. I can paste. Alright, so now to get it for the other ones, I just double click, then I get the various grades for each student. Alright, now let's see what happens if, let's say, we omit the true. Alright, we omit this true over here. So for example, after entering all the conditions, right, I just get to the value if false, and I omit the true. I hit enter. Now you can see you entered too few arguments for this function, right? So it gives us an error, right? So you always make sure that the true comes before the default results, right? So true, and I hit enter. Alright, so that's it for today, and thank you very much for being with us. Alright, have a nice day.